Tom Campbell Research Program, Thursday, January 22nd, 1976.
Made contact and was instructed in a different way of entering an altered state, an efficient altered state for the work that we're doing. So for the last 5 or 10 minutes I've been practicing these instructions. It does put me in a different space. I'm unfamiliar yet just where that space is in relation to the ones I'm familiar with. The technique is essentially one of waking up rather than one of sleeping. I can explain it in more detail later. I cannot understand your voice. Speak louder. Yes, one uses the 12 state as a starting point for this technique, or something like a 12 state. After getting to a 12 state type altered state, one then it sounds strange, but almost proceeds to wake up, to clear one's mind. An effort is made to clear one's mind, to work on clarity. It feels like waking oneself up, but in the process of waking up the mind and making it clear, very much like it is clear in awaking consciousness, the body actually tends to drift out of consciousness even further. And one is left with the strange sensation of fully waking consciousness without body, which of course is the desired goal. But this effort to wake up seems to be a very effective approach to take after one is already in 12. The effort to mentally wake up. I'm not sure. I was just given the idea to try this. Like, wake up. Wake your mind up. Clear your head. And as I began to fool with it, at first I thought it would bring me out of this state, would bring me back to C1, but it doesn't seem to do that at all. The space is different. And so it's more like a helping voice rather than a personality. It'll be a very good space for communications. It doesn't have the same feeling that I've come to regard as like depth. It's very clear, very much like being wide awake in C1, mentally, but physically even more body removed than 12. It's a cleaner space, a clearer space, not as foggy or as dark a space, a lighter space, not as heavy. While I was talking, I've come back to my usual state, but I have been able to travel back and forth through mentally, working at this waking up thing, and then as I relax it, I immediately drift back into the familiar state. It takes some discipline. If one lets go, then one tends to drift to a less awake state. This source who doesn't really wish to make himself or identify himself, and first I thought maybe it was Thor, and then I realized that that wasn't so. It was different. And then I thought maybe it was Shay's friend, so I said, Miranon? And the source said, oh, brother. Like, that certainly was wrong. So I asked, well, what would you like to say? Do you have a message? The message was, tell Bob that we're going to capture some of his people. Now that's a pretty strange message, so I had him repeat it. We're going to capture some of his people. I didn't get the feeling that the capture was in any kind of negative or harmful sense, and somehow it may relate to the experience you had this afternoon with the equipment that was being set up in this area by non-physical persons. Capture is indeed a strange way of saying it, but I asked for a couple of repeats and got them, and then I got almost aggravation at my asking for repetition. I tried to say, well, who are you? What is your purpose? And I just kind of got a backing away, not wanting to communicate there, so I thought I'd leave and come back and report. Well, the communication seemed pretty real. The source seemed almost like he had that to say, almost like a stool pigeon. Like he could say that, but didn't want to say any more about it.